Amidst the vast Serengeti plains, where life and death hang by a thread, two monarchs of the animal kingdom are falling into despair. Imprisoned by a treacherous trap, will a miracle of salvation occur? And who will be the last hope? A tale of compassion that transcends all boundaries, of the power of friendship between different species. The Serengeti plains unfolded like a colossal painting brushed with the brilliant gold of dawn. The tall, verdant grasses stretched to the horizon, rippling gently in the early breeze. Ancient acacia trees spread their wide canopies, casting majestic shadows against the deep blue sky. The chirping of birds welcoming the new day mingled with the regal footsteps of zebra herds grazing leisurely, and the poignant calls of gazelles echoed from afar. The air was fresh and teeming with life, a wild paradise where the laws of nature reigned supreme. But the serenity of the savanna shattered, giving way to a horrifying and haunting scene. Snared amidst the spindly branches of an ancient acacia tree, suspended between life and death, were the two sovereigns of the Serengeti, Mufasa and Sarabi. Mufasa, with his thick, reddish-brown mane, a symbol of strength and authority, now struggled helplessly. The rough net, woven from thick, sturdy ropes, constricted his powerful body. The cruel mesh dug deep into his flesh, so that every movement only increased the pain and despair. Mufasa's eyes, usually blazing with proud fire, now reflected panic and utter rage. He roared, trying to tear apart the binding cords, but in vain. The Lion King's roar, which once echoed across the savannah, now became choked and powerless. Beside Mufasa, Sarabi was experiencing a similar plight. The proud lioness with her sandy gold fur, her sharp eyes usually displaying strength and confidence, now appeared frantic and fearful. The net tightened around her slender body, making it difficult for her to breathe and causing her immense pain. Sarabi tried to reassure her mate with soft, worried growls, but she herself could not hide her helplessness. She gently licked Mufasa's paw, a comforting gesture full of love, but both knew that time was running out. The trap, a cruel tool of unscrupulous poachers, was cunningly set in the tree branches. Perhaps they were aiming for large prey, like lions for their hides or body parts. Whatever the purpose, the consequences were devastating. Mufasa and Sarabi, symbols of power and freedom, had become helpless prisoners, hanging suspended in mid-air, awaiting a grim fate. This heartbreaking scene not only evoked outrage, but also stirred deep compassion for the plight of these majestic creatures. Just then, Jabari led his troop of gorillas on a foraging expedition. They moved deftly through the tall grasses, searching for berries and young leaves. Suddenly, a painful and angry roar tore through the morning's tranquility. Jabari stopped, listening intently. The roar was unlike the usual sounds of lions. With curiosity and a sense of foreboding, Jabari signaled his troop to follow the direction of the sound. As they approached a dense acacia grove, a horrifying sight unfolded before them. Mufasa and Sarabi were struggling desperately in a net strung high above. Witnessing the distressing scene, Jabari immediately rallied his troop into action. The powerful gorillas climbed the lower branches, trying to tear the rough net with their hands and teeth. They worked together, using all their strength to pull and tug at the trap. The strongest males swung dry branches, striking hard at the knots and mesh, hoping to break them. The more agile females snaked through small openings, trying to bite through the ropes from the inside. But the net, made from tightly woven, incredibly strong ropes, resisted all the gorillas' efforts. The cords cut into their skin, causing scratches and drawing blood, but the trap remained unyielding. The strength of the gorilla troop, though formidable, was no match for this cruel device. Helplessness was evident on the face of every gorilla. Jabari watched his kin's futile attempts, a sense of despair rising within him. He knew that time was running out, and without outside help, Mufasa and Sarabi would not survive. In a moment of desperation, When all the troops' efforts proved fruitless, a memory of the old ranger suddenly flashed through Jabari's mind. It was Ranger Maru, the one who had saved his life many years ago when Jabari was a small, lost, and injured gorilla. He remembered the kindness and compassion the human had shown him. A glimmer of hope sparked in Jabari's intelligent eyes. He decided he had to seek help from humans, from the ranger he believed was still somewhere in the area. Jabari signaled his troop to stay and guard the lions, then set off alone across the savannah, searching for any trace of his former benefactor. The journey was fraught with risks and challenges, but gratitude and the determination to help fueled Jabari's strength. Finally, after several hours of searching, Jabari found the familiar ranger station. The sight of a large, majestic gorilla standing at the station door and urgently gesturing astonished the rangers. They had never witnessed anything so extraordinary. Murmurs of questions arose. What's happening? What does it want? Is someone hurt? Jabari used gestures and sounds to convey the perilous situation of Mufasa and Sarabi. Just then, Ranger Maru appeared. Noticing the urgency and intelligence in Jabari's eyes, he believed the gorilla needed help and decided to follow him. When the ranger arrived at the scene, Jabari quickly led him to the acacia tree where Mufasa and Sarabi were still desperately struggling in the deadly net. Seeing the tragic plight of the two lions, the ranger was both astonished and deeply saddened. He knew he had to act quickly and carefully. The ranger assessed the situation. The net was too strong to tear apart with bare hands. He gestured for the gorillas to step back for their safety. Then, with surprising agility and skill, he began to climb the tree. The tall, gnarled branches posed no difficulty for the ranger. He swiftly ascended, finding secure positions to stand and reach the net. From above, he could better observe the lion's positions in the trap, and he had the space to maneuver the large, sharp utility knife he carried. With his expertise and experience, he carefully began to cut the ropes. It was an extremely dangerous task. A single misstep could send the ranger falling from the great height, or the blade could injure the trapped animals. The ranger had to remain absolutely calm, moving slowly and precisely. Sweat beaded on his forehead under the scorching savanna sun. Meanwhile, Jabari and the gorilla troop were not idle. They understood that they too could play a vital role in the rescue. Following Jabari's instructions, several strong gorillas climbed nearby branches, holding onto parts of the net to relieve pressure on the ropes the ranger was cutting. Others brought small, sturdy branches, ready to assist if needed. The coordinated effort between human and animal was astonishing. The ranger focused on cutting the ropes above, while the gorillas provided invaluable support from below, forming an unlikely but highly effective rescue team. One by one, the ropes snapped and the net gradually loosened. Finally, after tense and prolonged efforts, the last ropes were severed. Mufasa and Sarabi fell to the ground safely. Though slightly dazed and exhausted, neither was seriously injured. They stood firmly on their paws, looking at the ranger and the gorillas. Then, an emotional scene unfolded. Mufasa and Sarabi simultaneously raised their heads to the sky, letting out resounding roars. Their roars no longer carried the pain and despair of before, but instead echoed with strength, majesty, and a hint of trembling gratitude. It was the most sincere thank you they could offer their rescuers. Afterward, the lion pair turned, facing the setting sun, and walked regally towards the horizon, leaving behind a tale of courage and interspecies friendship. The ranger, whose name was Maru, stood watching their figures disappear into the distance. His gaze lingered on Jabari, the alpha gorilla standing amidst his troop. Maru suddenly recognized something familiar about this majestic creature. A distant memory flooded his mind. He recalled the day he had found a small gorilla, lost and trapped in a deep pit. He had lifted it out, cared for it, and returned it to its family. That small gorilla had now grown into a strong leader. Maru smiled. He knew his actions from years ago had been absolutely right. Helping a small creature not only gave it life, but could also make a significant difference in the future. Jabari had not forgotten that kindness, and today he had repaid it by leading him to rescue the two kings of the savannah. This story is a profound reminder of the wondrous interconnectedness of species in the natural world. It shows that compassion and mutual aid can transcend all boundaries of species. Jabari's courageous and selfless actions proved that even the smallest creatures can make a big difference. The story also conveys a message about the dangers of illegal poaching, whose inhumane traps not only cause suffering to wild animals, but also disrupt the delicate ecological balance of nature. Hope and friendship are the guiding lights that help us overcome the most difficult times. You just witnessed a moving story of friendship and courage on the Serengeti plains. What do you think about Jabari's actions? Do such miracles truly happen in the natural world? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love stories about the colorful and meaningful world of wildlife, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next exciting videos. Your support is a great motivation for us to continue bringing you interesting and informative content. Thank you, and see you again.